Hey guys! Today we're going to be talking about the activity section in the Common App. Yes, you're right. This is another video that isn't about essays. Isn't that crazy? But even though the activity section doesn't take as long to perfect as the essays do, it certainly isn't a part of your application that you should neglect. It really encompasses everything you do outside of school, like outside of your grades. Of course, it could be school activities, but this is something that reflects all of your passions and all of your hard work outside of just your GPA and test scores. So I'm going to organize the video into two parts. So the first part is just general pointers for your activity section, things that you have to avoid doing, and also things you should do the right way. For the second part, I'll go into 3 specific activities that are examples from my Common App. The activities I'm going to mention are playing the violin, being a math tutor, and being a member of the NHS. So hopefully those examples help you out. Before we dive into part 1, where I give you guys all of the pointers, thank you for joining me today. For those of you who may be new to my channel, my name's Priya and I'm here to help you get into college. I graduated from the University of Chicago last year with a degree in astrophysics, and now I work as a data scientist, and I'm really just here to tell you everything I've learned throughout this whole process. I've only been doing this for a couple months, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. It means the world to me, and smash that like button for that YouTube algorithm, and let's get straight into the video. My first biggest point is that verbs are really important to showcase the depth of all you've done throughout this activity or extracurricular. There's a huge difference between saying something like you created an organization versus going into all of the specific points and all of the specific things that you've done for it. And you can really highlight the breadth of everything you've done, all of those experiences, because it wasn't just one simple point, right? It's so many different things. And the way you can highlight that is through your verbs. Remember that it's really important to switch your verbs up. Don't use the same verb over and over again, but if you are trying to say the same thing, look for synonyms, reasonable synonyms, things that people actually use in everyday life. So instead of saying assists children, you could say aids children if you already mentioned the verb assist like earlier several times. But yeah, keep in mind that given the short word count, verbs are really important in highlighting what you've done in the activity. I came across a great resource for you guys to help with choosing verbs specifically, so I'm going to link that down below in my bio. It's by the College Essay Guy, and he has some really great advice throughout his website, so definitely check that out. My second point is to include your title in the organization and the organization in the title section of your Common App. And you really don't have to restate that again in your description, because you have a very limited word count in your description, so you don't want to add redundancies. And my last point is just a quick formatting tip. These usually don't have to be full sentences, just like bullet points that highlight what you've done. And you can use the present tense for the verb if you're still working with that extracurricular or you still have that same title. And you can use past tense if it's something that you did previously but don't do anymore. An example of something you've done before is to say that you led your basketball team to the varsity championship as its captain, you know? And if you're still captain, rather than saying that, you would just say heads varsity basketball team. So those are like the 2 ways you could really emphasize something that you did in the past and aren't really doing anymore, and emphasize something that you're doing now. And if you want to say that you led your team in the past, but you're still, captain, you could include both of those points. But just ensure that the tense is representative of when it happened. That's it for my pointers for part 1. So we're going to go into my examples so you guys can see what actually works and how this should actually look. But if you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comment section. I try to get to all of my comments within the same day, so don't hesitate to let me know if you need any advice. So now we're going to go into the 3 activities that I had on my Common App. This is an example of having something in present tense and in past tense. So for this specific activity, as a violinist, I did take examinations that I passed with merit. So that happened in the past and I signified that, but I still currently played at the time for the orchestra. So that was still in present tense. As a math tutor, this really goes into detail, and this is so important. If you did something specific, like you taught or tutored specific classes, always mention those classes. Going into specifics is really good so that the admissions officer will have as much insight into you as they possibly can. My second point is an example of how you can really use verbs to your advantage. Other than just tutoring, I also helped in larger group settings. Rather than just saying that straight up, I said that I crafted lesson plans, which I did in my free time before I even taught all of these students in a group setting. So it's really important to emphasize everything you have done, because it's not that tutoring just encompasses tutoring. You have to prep for that tutoring. You need to know what you're teaching that student, right? I'd recommend brainstorming as much as you possibly can about all of the things you've done under a given activity and figure out which ones are important to include in your section. Remember that the word count is low, so you'd have to limit the amount of points you can include. And for my last example, yeah, this one isn't really a leadership position or anything, but I did quantify how much I did through this organization. So I was just a member of the NHS, but I single-handedly amassed over 100 hours of community service just myself, working with the elderly and volunteering at an orphanage in the nearby town, which I did over the weekend. I also went to a boarding school, so we had a lot more time to volunteer and do things like that because it was a boarding school on top of a mountain. So we didn't really have malls or there was no movie theater or anything. It was just the school and food and the whole town was basically built around the school I went to. So I went into detail about the two main things I did and also let the admissions officer know that I got over 100 hours just in the past year doing all of this work. Quantifying can certainly be important in most cases. It shows them how much you've done, and there's also a section where you can quantify it yourself, in the Common App activity section. So you wouldn't have to go into more detail if you include it there. I hope these examples helped you guys, because I think after going into things to focus on, I was hoping that these examples could actually give you. And of course, the link I have down below in my bio to the college essay guide, that's going to be so helpful. He's documented so much. So I think you guys are certainly in a great position. Just ensure that you brainstorm everything you've done for each activity. And I know there are 10, so if you can fill out all 10 slots, that's great. So that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to check out my other videos. I go through a lot of different steps of the college application process, and I focus on essays mainly because they are so important. Similar to how the activity section is so important, your words can really pack a punch and give the reader so much insight into you, and they're very important. So hopefully all of my videos on how to write an essay help you. I also have a video about the additional information section in the Common App, which is something you might have to actually fill out depending on your situation. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. It really does help people find the channel because we want to help as many people as we can, right? And smash that like button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys at the next video. Don't forget to comment down below if you have any video suggestions or have any questions for me regarding the activity section. Good luck with your application, guys, and I will see you at the next video.